Bijay, I want to join your program, but can you tell me how much can I make from podcast?
Okay.
Right? And then I tell them 0. It's the connection that you earn by doing a podcast. Here is the free setup. यो चाहिँ तपाईले free setup हो, यहाँबाट सुरु गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ. This is a mid-level setup and this is like an advanced setup. Everything that I make today is just because I have the inspiring. As a podcast हामीले चाहिँ ध्यान दिनुपर्ने कुरा भने चाहिँ के हो भने it's not about you, it's not about your guest, it's about your listener. The primary focus is on getting the best content out there. Podcast is about more casual and candid thing. Nepal television ko travel show versus Sisan Bania ko travel vlog. The big thing that about the monetization where I see the huge opportunity is on building your own product and services.
Okay, I'll ask you something. Timro first guest ko थियो?
My first guest was the guy called Navin Gulia. So Navin Gulia was the army guy, but I think during the training itself, he fell off and his body was paralyzed.
Okay.
And then training army join bhaseke pachadi probably training ko time ma चाहिँ he fell off, and त्यस पछाडि his whole body was paralyzed. And after that, he did some adventurous thing. His body was paralyzed, but still he drove from Delhi to, I think, some pass. I'm not remembering the pass, but it was a very difficult trail even for the normal person to drive on that road.
Drive as in?
Drive as in, like driving.
Driving?
Yeah.
Someone who is, how can someone who is paralyzed can drive?
Yeah, so his half body was paralyzed. His hands were, hands worked, and somehow, like he did that, difficult trail, and he did that, thing, and he was awarded even by the President of India and so on. So he was my first guest, the first person that I've interviewed.
Okay. The reason I asked you because while I thought of starting a podcast, I was really nervous first.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how to start. So I invited a friend of mine who is an co-entrepreneur.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So it was very easy for me to connect to.
Absolutely. Yeah. नवीन गुलियाको मैले इन्टरभ्यू फर्स्ट पब्लिस गरे भए पनि पहिलो इन्टरभ्यू मैले गरे चाहिँ मेरो साथीको I interviewed one of my friends.
Did you publish it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, he was obviously few steps ahead of me, so I definitely published his interview. So yeah.
अनि तिमी चाहिँ सिंगल पडकास्ट पनि गर्छौ किनभने I follow this guy. I think you also follow हाम्रो जे सेठी हैन अनि उले चाहिँ सिंगल पडकास्ट पनि गर्छ के?
I do as well.
You do as well.
So Thursday चाहिँ I don't do it that regularly, तर कहिलेकाहीँ Thursday चाहिँ मैले Thursday Inspirations भनेर सिरिज गर्छु जसमा चाहिँ I talk about 5 to 10 minutes about my own learning and lessons that I have learned in my life.
Okay. Nice. So let me ask you a question which you are free to answer in a very diplomatic way.
Diplomatic way?
So you are free to answer in a very diplomatic way. So how is the finance? How is the money in podcasts?
Yeah. So
how much do you? You feel free to not answer.
So yeah, I would answer that. So because I think this is one of the things a lot of people ask me, like, Bijay, I want to join your program, but can you tell me how much can I make from podcast?
Okay.
Right? And then I tell them 0. You can make nothing out of the podcast. And recently I shared this story on my LinkedIn. And and probably I want to share the same thing here as well. मैले चाहिँ के भनेको थिएँ लिङ्क्डइनमा भने a lot of people ask me how much I make from podcast, but here's what I made from my podcast, right? Here's what happened. मैले पडकास्ट गर्छेँ, त्यो भएर चाहिँ I met a person called किरुबा शङ्कर भन्ने एकजना मान्छेलाई भेटेँ मैले इन्डियामा. And किरुबा शङ्कर was also doing a podcast. He was a fellow podcaster. Just the way we connected, because the common thing is we are podcasters, right? So I connected with Kiruba Shankar. And he was a big guy. He was doing podcasts on the side, but he was like he was running his own company, digital marketing company. He was digital marketing professor. He was doing a bunch of interesting things. And when I connected with Kiruba and he said, and then we became friends. I interviewed him for my show and then we became kind of friends. And then he said, I'm starting something called as Professional Speakers Association. Mm-hmm. Would you like to be part of it? Mm-hmm. And I said, wow, that sounds interesting. So professional speakers are people who get paid to deliver that one ghanta ko speech there, they paid well. And I think that should be interesting. And then I joined Professional Speakers Summit. एसोसिएसन, अनि त्यो एसोसिएसनको चाहिँ एउटा इभेन्ट हुँदै थियो चेन्नईमा लास्ट जनवरी भनेर ठ्याक्कै 1 वर्ष पहिला, लगभग ठ्याक्कै 1 वर्ष पहिला चाहिँ एउटा इभेन्ट भइरहेको थियो चेन्नईमा. सो आई अटेन्डेड द्याट इभेन्ट. त्यो इभेन्टमा चाहिँ एन्ड त्यो इभेन्टमा चाहिँ आई मेट एनदर गाई कल्ड चेतन महाजन. सो चेतन महाजन रन्स दिस ब्युटिफुल प्लेस नैनीताल भन्दा नजिकै चाहिँ एउटा गाउँमा चाहिँ ही लेफ्ट हिज जब एन्ड एभ्रिथिङ एन्ड ही डज दिस ब्युटिफुल थिङ कल हिमालयन राइटिङ रिट्रिट, जहाँ चाहिँ विश्वभरिबाट मान्छेहरू राइटिङको वर्कसप गर्न आउँछन् कि 7 या 10 डेजको राइटिङ वर्कसप गर्न आउँछन्, वेयर दे लर्न हाउ टु राइट अ बुक. चेतनलाई मैले इन्टरभ्यू गरेँ मेरो पडकास्टमा एन्ड देन वी बिकेम गुड फ्रेन्ड्स. अनि चेतनलाई चाहिँ मैले भने यार यु डु दिस राइटिङ रिट्रिट, वुडन्ट इट बी इन्ट्रेस्टिङ टु डु अ पडकास्टिङ रिट्रिट? 3 दिन चाहिँ म मान्छेहरूलाई टक्क हिमालमा लएर जान्छु अनि पडकास्टिङ सिकाउँछु भनेर है. एन्ड देन वी डिड द्याट रिट्रिट राइट एन्ड वी कोलाबोरेटेड अन द्याट. अनि मैले चाहिँ त्यो हिमालयन रिट्रिट गर्दै गर्दा चाहिँ त्यसमा जुन एउटा पार्टिसिपेन्ट थियो नि, and that participant is now my co-founder of the company that I started.
Nice.
Right? So the point that I'm trying to make here is you ke sunaira hola bhane jasto bhayila hola, but the point that I'm trying to make here is it's the connection that you earn by doing a podcast. Because at this point of time, I'm not saying you can never make money, but at this point of time you cannot make money doing a podcast just by doing a podcast. You need to be creative. Like you get to be friends with some of the people who would never considered sitting with you and having a coffee with you. Like I was fortunate to spend 45 minutes just like the way you and I are having, and obviously it was not recorded, but with Kailash Kher.
Wow, man.
I sat with him and he sang for us live कैलाश खेरले गाउँदाखेरि चाहिँ त्यो एकदमै जिरिङ्ग भइरहेको थियो. लाइक यु सी द्याट रेकर्डेड भोइस, बबाल भोइस है. आई मिन आई वाज लाइक ओ माई गड, दिस इज कैलाश खेर, राइट? सो आई मिन that would have never been possible, and you cannot measure that. Like how can you measure, put a number to that saying like do a podcast? But again, I think doing a podcast, and if you are consistent and honest with what you are doing, what you can earn probably is obviously the network, as I mentioned. And because you have that network, you never know what opportunities, what doors of opportunities are going to open
and
for you.
And if you're creative enough, I think you should be able to find 100 ways to make money.
Absolutely. And if you are connecting with a different sort of people, then you have different ideas, right? So I interviewed world champion for public speaking of 2017, Manoj Vasudevan. Now, Manoj Vasudevan teaches a lot of people on public speaking. And then now we are collaborating for his student to do a podcasting thing for him. So now I'm in a way collaborating with him for that one particular project with, Manoj Vasudevan. चेतनसँग चाहिँ मैले अघि नै भने जस्तो चेतनको हिमालयन पडकास्टिङ रिट्रिटमा हामीले कोलाबोरेट गरेर त्यो एउटा प्रोजेक्ट गऱ्यौँ होइन. सो अनि त्यो हिमालयन रिट्रिटमा आएको एकजना उसँग मिलेर चाहिँ नाउ आई एम स्टार्टिङ अ कम्पनी होइन. सो आई मिन दिज आर द लट अफ डिफ्रेन्ट अपर्च्युनिटिज द्याट कम अन योर वे इफ यु डु अ पडकास्ट. बट otherwise, like पैसा you cannot make money at this point in time. नेपालमा त एकदमै सोच्दा पनि नसोच्दा हुन्छ. Like even for next 5 years, don't think that you are going to make any money by doing a podcast.
I'm going to prove you wrong, man.
Yeah, I mean, I would be happy to, and I think you are definitely. I mean, see, so here's the thing, right? So if you're just doing it for the sake of money, then probably it's going to be difficult.
True.
Right? So I mean, I'm happy that the way that you are doing, and I know that it's also at the same time. So when I say you are not going to be able to make money, I mean money that's going to help you survive.
True.
Like the full-time thing, right? So
yes,
that's something that I meant when I said.
Right now I'm looking to make the whole process more sustainable so that I can do it for next 5 years.
Yes.
Because a lot of amount of money, you got to inject a lot of amount of money.
Absolutely.
Teams is there, sustainability is there, and
absolutely.
So yeah, in that regards.
Yeah.
So I think one way I have seen people making good amount of money through podcasts internationally is brand placement.
Brand placement, yeah, absolutely.
Do you do brand placement?
I haven't done that yet because I intend to first build the community. So here's the 5 steps of making. I mean, 3 steps probably. Let's say. The first is you launch your podcast. Number 2, you build your community and like make the community bigger. And then third, you sell your own product and services to your community.
That could be your own product, or you could be a product of someone you believe or trust.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am more believer of becoming my own promoter. Like what do I mean by that is, let's say मेरो चाहिँ 10 लाख जनाले पडकास्ट सुन्यो भने then I can sell my 500 को मेरो merchandise I can sell to, I mean like 10 लाखमा चाहिँ let's say even like 50,000 ले पनि किन्यो भने like you will end up making way more money than
a direct
than
product
getting
placement.
someone else's advertisement, because they will just pay you based on the number of downloads and all of that, and you know it's not very impressive at all.
अहिले तिम्रो एक्चुअल नम्बर चाहिँ कति छ?
So my podcast, the listeners, podcast listener range from 10 to 15,000 downloads an episode.
ओके, यो चाहिँ अनि केमा हुन्छ? जस्तो फर इक्जाम्पल गुगल पडकास्टमा हुन्छ कि यो डेटा चाहिँ?
This is a cumulative number. So I use the hosting platform called Libsyn. So Libsynबाट चाहिँ मेरो podcast, Apple Podcast, Teacher, TuneIn सबै ठाउँमा जान्छ, and then I get this cumulative number on Libsyn.
Is it a paid?
It's a paid one. Yeah.
How much do you need?
$15
a month.
I'm on that $15 package, yeah. But
a month?
Yeah, a month, yeah.
Okay. I think we are using this Anchor. This is free.
Yeah, I know.
But त्यस्तो खतरा एनालिटिक्स हामीले पाएको छैनौँ. Maybe we can consider Libsyn पनि.
Yeah.
डेफिनेटली. सो तिमीले जस्तै फर इक्जाम्पल जुन यो वर्कसप गऱ्यो भने नि होइन, क्यान यु हाम्रो यो के अरे पडकास्टको अडियन्सलाई जो क्यान यु हल्का ब्रिफली भन्न सक्छौ के हुन्छ तिम्रो पडकास्टमा, नि हाउ डु यु मोटिभेट पिपल टु एक्चुली कम अप विथ कन्टेन्ट टु टक अबाउट?
सो अघि मैले भने 3टा कुरा होइन, we go in depth and make people give people the clarity on each of those 3 things. That's like very basic thing. So I do this 6 weeks program, online program गर्छु मैले इन्डियामा चाहिँ. That's how I got into podcast coaching and consulting. So
आफ्नै वेबसाइटबाट. So I do this. I do this from the home, and that's another interesting story how I got into podcast coaching and consulting. I think that's a good lesson for a lot of entrepreneurs probably. So we'll talk about that. But so I give people clarity on like those first 3 things. Why you want to do a podcast, and then we walk them through a process. It takes like half an hour for them to come out with their why. Why I want to do a podcast, and then I ask them a bunch of questions to help them define who their listener is. And some of those questions could be, who is your listener? Where are they based? What are their likes and dislikes? What are the kind of book they'll read? What are the kind of TV shows they watch? What are the kind of people they follow on social media? So these are some of the questions you might not know exactly, but framing this out will give you idea what are the likes and dislikes of your audience, right? So that's we give them clarity, and once the person has that clarity and on the why, and once they have clarity on their listeners, and then we talk about their podcasting idea. Okay, now let's talk about your podcasting idea. And then we help them derive their podcasting idea. And this is based on their own likes and dislikes, their own passion and expertise, and some of the things that they want to do, accomplish in next 12 to 24, years, months, 12 to 24 months in their life, right? So, and then the challenges that they are trying to address. What are the problems that they see on the target audience that they are kind of deriving, right? त्यो भइसके पछाडि, and then they come out with the podcasting idea. त्यो भइसके पछाडि, after that we start talking about how do you choose the name for the podcast, how do you design the artwork, and then how do you write the description for the show, how do you come out with the content idea, how do you interview people, how do you polish your content, how do you structure your content, how do you publish it, how do you market it, and and how do you even monetize it, right? Point मा गएर growth trajectory नै देखाइदिने.
So in a way it's like a comprehensive program, right from like knowing nothing, and we actually start from the basics of podcasting. We start by teaching people what is a podcast. So from there, when they come out with, after the workshop, they have like a complete knowledge of comprehensive knowledge of doing the podcast. So
कस्तो हुनुपर्छ तिनीहरुको, just for example, do you teach people to do podcast from mobile ki?
Yes, I do. Nepal, actually I don't want people to spend a lot of money right now, because number one, like I think international payment is still an issue here. International payment to dollar ma payment गर्न अलिकति गाह्रो हुन्छ. त्यो भएर चाहिँ यहाँ चाहिँ मैले Anchor नै I recommend people to do Anchor. So Anchor मै record गर्न लाएर we make them launch their show. So those are the things that we do from the phone as well. So I give them different options. Like I tell them, here is the free setup. यो चाहिँ तपाईले free setup हो, यहाँबाट सुरु गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ. This is a mid-level setup, and this is like an advanced setup. अहिले चाहिँ यहाँबाट सुरु गर्नु पर्दैन. You can start here, and then like let's say 20, 50, 30 episode गर्नुभयो, and then you are comfortable, you are confident कि यो चाहिँ this is something that I want to do in my life. यसलाई चाहिँ मैले अझै कन्टिन्यू गर्न चाहन्छु भने चाहिँ then move to probably invest something, or maybe अमेरिकामा भएको दाइ दिदीलाई भन्नुहोस् माइक पठाइदिनुहोस् भन्नुहोस् हैन. Now everybody has their brother and sister in US, Australia, Canada, or somebody in their relative or whatever, right? So and then get those equipment and then take quality to another level. So yeah, you gradually improve. Like मैले चाहिँ सुरुमा चाहिँ second hand mic किनेर सुरु गरे podcast. So you don't need
हाम्रो बजार
Okay.
That is my camera, this is
Oh,
your
okay,
camera.
this is my camera. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. So right now, like talking about finance, you make more money out of workshops after different speaking
Yes,
programs.
as of now, the main source of my income, I mean, podcast, what I make zero. Like the inspiring talk butter, I make zero. But I make money because I have the inspiring
yes,
talk.
yes,
Like
yes.
these are the two different things, right? The question would be, how much do I make from the inspiring talk? Zero. How much I make because of the inspiring talk? That's all I make. Like, everything that I make today is just because I have the inspiring talk. The inspiring talk मैले सुरु नगरे भए I wouldn't have had that network. People wouldn't know me, होइन, मान्छेले मलाई चिन्दैन थियो अनि मसँग त्यो एउटा क्रेडिबिलिटी हुँदैन थियो नि त. Now people know this guy did this podcast and he's making name, and now instantly people can trust you, and then they want to do business with you, and त्यो trust factor भइसके पछाडि it's become easier for you to figure out a lot of ways to make money.
एकदमै. अनि अर्को कुरा चाहिँ बिकज वेन यु इन्भाइट, जस्तो तिम्रो कन्ट्याक्समा चाहिँ यु इन्भाइट पिपल हु हेभ डन समथिङ इन देयर लाइफ, या फर इक्जाम्पल एउटा लेभल सक्सेस भएको या एउटा केही प्रोसेसमा गएको हो नि त होइन. सो वाट काइन्ड अफ रिसर्च डु यु गो थ्रु? किनभने मलाई चाहिँ यो मेरो पर्सनल क्वेसन चाहिँ किन भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ एट टाइम्स यु ब्रिङ सम वान एचआरको खतरा मान्छे होइन, अनि नाउ यु क्यान नट बी अ डम गाई एक्सिङ वाट इज द फुल फर्म अफ एचआर नि त. यु हेभ टु बी स्मार्ट. त्यो लेभल अफ रिसर्च कति धेरै हुन्छ नि त होइन. सो त्यो कन्ट्याक्समा चाहिँ तिम्रो वाट इज यो स्ट्राटेजी त्यो कन्ट्याक्समा चाहिँ?
So this is something that I do. मैले चाहिँ त्यो रिसर्चको लागि चाहिँ के गर्छु भन्दा आई सेट 60 to 90 मिनट्सको मैले टाइम सेट गर्छु होइन. अनि त्यो 60 to 90 मिनट्समा चाहिँ आई लिटरली सेट द टाइमर अन. अनि त्यो टाइमर अन गरिसके पछाडि चाहिँ आई गो एन्ड ट्राई एन्ड फाइन्ड एभ्री ड्याम थिङ द्याट आई क्यान फाइन्ड अबाउट द्याट पर्सन अन इन्टरनेट. बिकज
द्याट पर्सन अर द डोमेन हि इज इन.
पहिला त त्यो मान्छेको बारेमा होइन. लाइक यु वान फर्स्ट. ओके, सो आई थिङ्क फर मी इट्स बिट इजियर बिकज मेरो चाहिँ नर्मली द टपिक द्याट आई कभर इज अन्डर द पर्सनल ट्रान्सफर्मेसनको होइन. जस्तै अन्टरप्रिनरसिप, रिलेसनसिप, अनि एन्ड देयर पर्सनल जर्नी. माइन्ड इज मोर अबाउट पर्सनल जर्नी, राइट. सो उसमा चाहिँ त्यसमा चाहिँ यु निड टु नो मोर अबाउट द्याट पर्सन. एन्ड समटाइम आई टक अबाउट टपिक, एन्ड वेन आइम डुइङ द्याट टपिक थिङ, जसमा चाहिँ मैले कुनै एउटा टपिकलाई लिएर गरिरहेको छु भने द्याट त्यो केसमा चाहिँ समटाइम यु हेभ टु रिड द बुक. लाइक त्यो मान्छेले लेखेको छ भने यु निड टु रिड द होल बुक टु अन्डरस्ट्यान्ड वाट द होल थिङ इज अल अबाउट, राइट. सो आई इन्टरभ्युड दिस लेडी कल्ड सिद्रा जाफरी. So we did this podcast episode on spirituality. And that was the concept that I have never explored on my show. त्यो चाहिँ मैले कहिले पनि गरेको थिइनँ क्या. अनि त्यो भइसके पछाडि चाहिँ it's like first I called up Shidra and told her, you know what Shidra, I know nothing about what you do. Can we please have this conversation for half an hour and you make me understand what the whole thing is all about? Give me the basics. We had that conversation and I got to understand a lot of different things. Not too many things, but understand different things that where I need to go and start researching. And then, Shidra sent me her book. I read the entire book.
Wow.
And then now I'm more confident that about the topic. And then I went and did a bit of here and there research and stuff. And then now you get that confidence. Okay, I now I can probably ask some questions. Again, another thing is, even when, as you mentioned, like you are getting somebody from HR, probably you want to ask intelligent question. At the same time also think from the listener's perspective, right?
True.
So your listeners...
Nice insight.
Do not probably know the advanced stuff. They would be happy even if you do the basic stuff. For example, let's say there are a lot of things to talk about podcasting. होइन, आज हामीले podcast भने के हो नै भन्ने कुरामा नै डिटेल गयो भने there are a lot of people who would find it interesting. होइन, त्यो भएको भएर चाहिँ I think it's probably finding that balance to make sure कि यति खतरा रिसर्च गरिदियो, एडभान्स कन्सेप्ट कुरा, एडभान्स कुरा गरिरहेछ, उहाँ अडियन्सलाई चाहिँ बेसिक नै कुरा थाहा छैन भनेर. And then probably I think it's a mix of going in and I think हामीले टफ टकको चाहिँ कुरा गऱ्यौँ. बट I like the way actually the guy at the tough talk, कस्तो मजाले he asks very simple basics questions, right? Even if let's say हाम्रो हजुरआमाले पनि त्यो इन्टरभ्यू हेर्नुभयो भने त्यो कन्सेप्टहरू बुझिरहेको हुन्छ, रिलेटिभिटी चाहिँ हुने. या राइट. सो आई थिङ्क द्याट्स योर जब एज अ होस्ट प्रोबेबली is to make it easier for your audience to understand what you are talking about, because the moment you start talking about advanced concept, probably you are leaving out on a lot of audience.
I think त्यसमा चाहिँ मैले खालि गेस्टको पर्सपेक्टिभलाई मात्र केटर गर्न खोजे जस्तो भयो हैन, so that he does not feel okay के बच्चाको कुरा आएर गरे भन्ने.
या सरी. सो एन्ड एज अ पडकास्ट चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ ध्यान दिनुपर्ने कुरा भने चाहिँ के हो भने, it's not about you, it's not about your guest, it's about your listener.
Exactly.
मैले चाहिँ I mean I have interviewed some very, very popular people. Like, and these people are more popular than the people whom I have interviewed and published on my show. होइन ग्लोबल स्केलमा नाम भएको मान्छेहरूको इन्टरभ्यू गराएको छु होइन लाइक अ लट अफ पिपल दे नो आई क्यान नेम देम बिकज आई हेभन्ट पब्लिस द्याट एपिसोड सो या नट एन इस्यु सो आई हेभ इन्टरभ्युड देम बट इन्टरभ्यू गरिसके पछाडि आई फेल्ट द्याट देयर इज नो इन्साइट फर माई लिसनर देयर इज नथिङ द्याट माई लिसनर क्यान टेक ब्याक होम एन्ड द रिजन कुड बी प्रोबेबली आई might not have prepared well for that interview. That could be one. Number two, it could also be that the guest took the show very lightly and he didn't, he was clearly not interested in talking. He just showed up, but he was probably not, interested in sharing the insights. We did that, and then I wrapped the interview in I think 15 to 20 minutes. Normally my interviews are 45 to 60 minutes. We wrapped the interviews at 25 minutes. I went back and listened the whole thing, and there was not a single point where I could feel that this is going to add value to my listener. तर मलाई थाहा छ त्यो पडकास्ट एपिसोड गऱ्यो भने चाहिँ लट अफ पिपल विल ह्याभ देयर आइब्रोज रेज्ड यार विजयले चाहिँ यसको इन्टरभ्यू गऱ्यो भन्ने चाहिँ हुन्छ होइन बट कन्टेन्टमा चाहिँ आई मिन देयर इज नो पोइन्ट पुटिङ इट आउट सो आई हेभन्ट पब्लिस द्याट एपिसोड आउट So yeah, I mean those are the decisions that you need to take because it's not about you. It's not about the listener. I mean your guest. It's about the listener.
त्यसले चाहिँ क्या जेन्युन भइदियो कि द जेन्युन रिजन वाइ यु स्टार्टेड पडकास्ट बिकज नाउ यु आर नट डुइङ पडकास्ट बिकज यु वान्ट टु रिच मोर पिपल एन्ड अफकोर्स यु वान्ट टु रिच मोर पिपल तर खत्रै भाइरल हुन्छु भन्ने फर्स्ट प्रायोरिटी भएन कि है गेटिङ द
प्रायोरिटी इज लाइक गेटिङ द कन्टेन्ट राइट एन्ड catering to the audience that you already have. True. If you cannot cater to the audience you already have, there is no point getting more audience, right? So it's about staying true to your existing audience.
So I think म तिमीसँग एउटा कन्सल्टेसन लिन्छु म चाहिँ अलिकति बाटो छु नि यो कुरामा आई ब्रिङ अमेजिङ पिपल एन्ड आई आस्क देम क्वेसन द्याट आई रियली वान्ट टु नो
एन्ड अगेन द्याट्स अ ब्युटिफुल थिङ अबाउट पडकास्ट एन्ड अगेन द्याट्स अनदर बेनिफिट अफ डुइङ अ पडकास्ट द्याट्स वाट यु गेट फर फ्री आई मिन आई बिन गेटिङ इट फर लाइक आई थिङ्क आई हेभ डन नाउ how many 75 episodes and 75 different people and this kind of conversation with 75 people and I mean
you get to ask personal questions that you have been struggling with है so मेरो क्वेसन चाहिँ के हो भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ बिकज आई थट कि मेबी डुवर्समा चाहिँ द होल आइडिया इज टु नट me becoming a center guy and asking and meeting every people. The whole idea is to create beautiful content, more insightful content. So I thought कि जस्तै फर इक्जाम्पल यदि एउटा ट्राभलर एउटा अन्टरप्रेन्योर जसले त ट्राभलिङ इन्डस्ट्रीमा खतरा गरेर आएको छ उसलाई मैले बोलाएर सोध्नुभन्दा मेबी आई क्यान ह्याभ अ समवन गाई जसले ट्राभलिङ पढिरहेको छ या समन जसले पनि त्यही फेजमा छ तर अलिक तल्लो फेजमा छ त्यो दुईजनालाई मिक्स गरेर मैले कुरा गरायो भने झन् कन्टेन्ट बवाल निस्किन्छ कि भनेर चाहिँ आई हेभ अल्सो एक्सपेरिमेन्टेड विथ कपल अफ एपिसोड वेयर आई ब्रट two different people working on a different level but in a same domain के होइन तर त्यसमा चाहिँ फेरि कहिले काहीँ कन्फ्लिक्टै भइदिन्छ अनि म चाहिँ एउटा राइट एन्सर चाहिँ पाउन किन सकिरहेको छैन भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ पडकास्ट इज प्रिटी न्यू इन नेपाल अनि कसलाई गरेर सुन्दै होइन आई थिङ्क दिस इज अ राइट टाइम राइट प्लेस एन्ड राइट पर्सन टु आस्क होइन वाट डु यु रेकमेन्ड
सो सी podcast listeners always want to associate with that one person on that particular show.
Okay.
Now again, imagine it's my show मा क्रिकेटर हुँदाखेरि चाहिँ सुरज दाइले चाहिँ ल पारस खड्कालाई होस्ट गर्न दिनु पर्यो भन्यो भने त वेरी सुरज आई मिन सुरज सिंह ठकुरी
सेल्फिश भयो नि त पर्सनल ब्रान्डिङको सेल्फिश भयो नि
obviously I mean you want to see the whole point is obviously you are doing it for the listener but it's not it's also about building your personal brand. Okay. At the end of the day obviously like see here's the thing so at the end of the day you want to I'm not denying the fact that content shouldn't be again I've been focusing on content should be king, right? But again you want to be popular, you want to make money. I'm not saying that should never be your focus.
Exactly, because
right?
If you're not making money,
the primary focus is on content. The primary focus is on getting the best content out there. But the focus is also on building your own personal brand. Is also on getting your listener know about you as a person. Like that Chennai event that I spoke, right? So there was this one guy who walked up to me and said, Bijay, can I take a selfie? And I'm like, that was the first guy who asked me, for the selfie. Yeah, in my life. And that was the first time somebody walked up to me and, said, I want to take selfie. Okay, let's do this. And after that, he goes and says, you know what? For the past 4 months, your voice is the one that I hear every single morning.
Wow, man.
and he behaved or acted in front of me like he knows me already.
Okay.
Why? Because he listens to my conversation and he kind of know who I am as a person. Because त्यत्रो 40-50 जनाको इन्टरभ्यू सुन्यो भने त यो मान्छे कस्तो छ, यसले कस्तो सोच्छ, यसको सेन्स अफ ह्युमर कस्तो छ हैन, you kind of know their personality and they feel like you already know them. कहिले नभेट्या मान्छेलाई दे फिल लाइक दे अलरेडी नो देम, एन्ड द्याट्स द ब्युटी अफ दिस मिडियम. सो पिपल वान अट्याच विथ द्याट गाई अर द पर्सन हु होस्ट. यदि चाहिँ if it's not that, it's just the content, and probably you as a host are losing out a lot because you are putting a lot of time, efforts and energy and like letting someone else shine where you could be that star, where you could build your own personal brand. So I would recommend, even when I'm working with the organization, I ask them to have somebody from the organization to host the show because people want to, connect with that one person of the show.
And हामीले पनि जस्तै ठ्याक्क तिमीले भने जस्तै we are also through Viewfinders, we work with few couple of good brands जसलाई चाहिँ we are empowering them to do their own podcast. किन त्यहाँ चाहिँ हामीले रियलाइज के गरेको भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ not every, because I started podcast also because I like talking. I seems to like my idea seems to be a piece. आई हेभ रियलाइज एउटा दुईवटा मिटिङसँग म पढाउँछु पनि होइन, म पब्लिक स्पिकिङहरू पनि गर्छु. त्यति बेला चाहिँ आई हेभ रियलाइज कि ओके पिपल एक्चुली लाइक लिसनिङ टु वाट आइम टकिङ. अनि त्यसले गर्दाखेरि ओके मेबी आई सुड स्टार्ट पडकास्ट भन्ने भयो. अनि त्यो फ्लो मेन्टेन हुँदै गयो, राम्रो पनि हुँदै गयो कि. अनि क्लाइन्टहरूको कन्ट्याक्समा गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ तिनीहरूले चुज गरेको मान्छे, तिनीहरूको स्टाफको मान्छेहरू चाहिँ दे आर नट अ नेचुरल स्पिकर, दे आर नट नेचुरल विथ पडकास्टिङ या भनौँ न होइन. त्यसले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ कन्टेन्टको क्वालिटी नै अलिकति लो भएको जस्तो लाग्थ्यो कि होइन. अनि मैले चाहिँ कुन लेभलसम्म पनि सोचिरहेको छु भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ एउटा मिडिया पर्सनलाई लिने, मिडिया पर्सन तिमीहरूले पनि गर्छौ नि एउटा साइनिङ हिम फर 1 yearको कन्ट्र्याक्ट. तर त्यसमा फेरि त्यो होल इन्डस्ट्रीको के अरे लाइमलाइट त त्यो मान्छेले पायो नि त.
ओके, सो यसमा पनि मेरो आई हेभ अ भेरी strong opinion about not doing the podcast the radio way, right? So podcast, यदि यो रेडियो भएको भए you wouldn't have asked me the question the way you are.
सेन्सरसिपको कुरा आउँथ्यो.
So होइन, सेन्सरसिपको कुरा छैन. The way you are talking itself. आउनुहोस् आज हामीसँग विजय गौतम आउनु भएको छ, विजयजी भन्नुहोस् तपाईँको कस्तो रह्यो. I mean, this is how you talk, and that's not the true self. यदि जुन that's how mainstream, so podcast is about more casual and candid thing. So actually हामीले चाहिँ एउटा सो गरेका थियौँ जसमा चाहिँ एउटा आरजेलाई लिएर मैले सो गरेको थिएँ. we took this RJ from a very popular radio station in India, Red FM भन्ने. त्यसबाट एउटा आरजेलाई चाहिँ we did this show, and then पहिलो एपिसोडको रेकर्डिङमा चाहिँ I actually have to ask him to tone down. मैले भने प्लिज डोन्ट युज द रेडियो टोन हियर, प्लिज बी द रियल यु. किनभने अघि यो रेकर्डिङ गर्नुभन्दा पहिला चिया खाँदाखेरि त तपाईँले त्यस्तरी बोल्नु भएको थिएन मसँग. युज द्याट टोन, आई वान्ट द्याट टोन. जति बेला तपाईँले मलाई त्यो चिया खाँदाखेरि स्टोरी सुनाइराख्नु भएको थियो नि, युज द्याट टोन, रेडियोको टोन, बिकज द्याट्स नट रियल. यु वान पुट अथेन्टिक सेल्फ आउट देयर.
So is that one difference you find between a radio and a podcast? Because at times मलाई कस्तो लाग्छ भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ internet basically renamed the whole radio thing into a podcast, and it's the same thing, but then people are perceiving it in a very different way. But then,
so नेपाल टेलिभिजनको ट्राभल सो versus Sisan Baniaको ट्राभल ब्लग. Why people want to listen to, watch Sisan Banias? Because there is some factor, and that factor is the relativity factor. True. I can see myself on Sisan Bania, but I cannot see myself on any TV's journal, because that's not how I probably travel. I travel with the raw and just with, I have the problems which Sisan is facing, and he talks about those problems which you will never find. Iti ramro himal and all of that you see on TV, which is aspirational. But when you see
a perfect type of way,
yeah, perfect way, but that's aspirational. But when you see bloggers or vloggers, they are giving you the real picture, where you can, yes, there's a flaw. Right? There is no perfection. There are mistakes, which means that's so human, which I can relate to. I make mistakes, and that's so relatable, and that's why I tend to like that kind of content. And probably that's the huge difference between radio and podcast. Podcast is more casual medium where you can be yourself, your authentic self. Suru-suruma चाहिँ मैले पनि I try to become like RJ, right?
Okay.
All right, welcome to the inspiring talk. All of that, and then eventually I realized it's not about trying to copy someone else. It's about accepting who you already are, and it's about becoming yourself, becoming your authentic self, and then people will love you the way you are. You might be good, you might be bad, but people will adapt
Accept you.
to it, accept it, as long as I mentioned, like, again, if the content is good.
Definitely.
Right? So,
Definitely. Yeah, man, that's quite of insight for me. Therapy boy.
I'll send you the invoice.
Definitely. That's how you make. Okay,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Plus, I think another way of making money is also long run मा चाहिँ different media appearance गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ you can even charge people नि त अब त, because तिम्रो brand name भइसकेको छ, you have a, I don't know, I'm just
No,
talking.
see, I even for my podcast, a lot of people ask me, hey, how much do you charge to interview somebody on your show? And I said, no, there is no charge that I do not interview anyone to come on my show. And neither I pay anyone to bring on my show. So that's like a very clear thing that I have said. कि कसैलाई शोमा ल्याउन पनि अनि कसैलाई जान is obviously, those are the monetization को लागि, which I think the big thing that about the monetization where I see the huge opportunity is on building your own product and services.
Okay.
So if your podcast is about entrepreneurship, write a book about entrepreneurship, or create some resources about entrepreneurship, and tell your audience that, hey, you have been listening to this podcast and you're getting a lot of value on entrepreneurship from the show. Why don't you get my book, or why don't you probably get this thing where you learn about entrepreneurship, right? So and probably take my online course or whatever, right? So you can create your own product and service. Or why don't you come and attend my entrepreneurship event, workshop, right? And then those are the ways where you are promoting your own product and services, and you are making money rather than just doing those things, which I'm not a big fan of charging or paying for the interviews. But yeah, there are a lot of several ways, or you go and brand as we were talking about, right? So the Doers ko एउटा seasonमा चाहिँ like, now the Doers has done this stuff, why don't you guys come and sponsor the show, or म हजुरको brandलाई do this placement, you will get this visibility or whatever, and then why don't you guys come on board and just so yeah, those are the things that you can think about. So
okay, so Bijay, कुनै तिमीले recommend गर्ने podcast which you listen and which you want, which you can recommend it to me? Anup, यो podcast सुन न, तिमीलाई सही लाग्छ भनेर.
So there are quite a few of them. So different on the different styles को podcast हुन्छ, right? So if you're looking at listening to really a crime and thriller podcast, like with a high production quality, जसमा चाहिँ like 15-16 people work on one podcast, त्यो खालको show मा चाहिँ there are a lot of them, but I have heard this podcast called Dirty John, right?
John, okay.
Yeah, that's a story about this guy who kind of is a kind of a criminal and who plays tricks with a lot of different stuff. So it's an amazing story. So I think they have got 6 or 7 episodes, and त्यो चाहिँ as a story they tell it, and the when you listen to that, so it's just amazing. Dirty John is one that I loved. And again, on the business, I love Business Wars, and also I like Reid Hoffman's podcast. Reid Hoffman's Masters of Scale is another show that I love. And I also love listening to the Tim Ferriss show.
Yes, that's
and,
something that...
yeah, that's just the conversation that we are having, and it's pretty much like the format is same, but again the insights is super amazing. And also I love listening to some of the podcast and podcasting. So I listened to this podcast called The Audacity to Podcast, but this guy has stopped producing as many episodes as he used to. But The Audacity to Podcast taught me a lot of things about podcasting when I was starting out. So yeah, that's the one podcast also I recommend people to check out. Yeah, so these are some of the shows that probably people can listen to. But again, जुन टपिकमा तपाईँको इन्ट्रेस्ट छ त्यसमा चाहिँ you will find at least 10 to 12 shows, or more shows, good shows, right? Musicमा इन्ट्रेस्ट छ भने you can go and listen to podcast on music. Entrepreneurshipमा छ भने you can go and listen to podcast on entrepreneurship. Science, history, arts, whatever are the topic of interest, you can go and listen to podcasts. So yeah,
there's a ton of podcasts, but you gotta make more podcasts, isn't it?
Yeah, now the way we're just getting started, and this is for everyone watching this, अहिलेसम्म तपाईँले यो हेरिराख्नु भएको छ भने you are definitely interested in about this thing. So this is one little secret that I want to share with you guys. Do you know why my show is number 1 in India? Because I was the early mover. Not that because now there are no better shows than my podcast. There are so many shows which are way better than my own podcast. But the reason the Inspiring Talk became number one is because it was the early mover. I mean, this was the podcast which was started early on. So you guys in Nepal have that opportunity. There are not so many podcasts. There are only a handful of podcasts, like 10, 12 podcasts that, are, and then it's just like, let's say, less than 50 shows. I think that would be fair to say. Less than 50 podcasts produced in Nepal. Obviously, Nepali 50 पनि छैन होला होइन. सो नेपालबाट बाहिर नेपालीले गरे पडकास्ट गऱ्यो भने चाहिँ होला 50सम्म पुग्ला. बट अगेन नेपालमै प्रोड्युस गर्ने, नेपालीले प्रोड्युस गर्ने पडकास्ट भने त 50 पनि छैन. नाउ इमेजिन you starting a YouTube channel back in 2010 as a कहाँ पुग्नुहुन्थ्यो होला. So if you have that opportunity in podcasting, don't miss this one.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing motivation for us to keep on doing it. Guys, we got to mix next 1000 episode.
Yeah, good quality content.
Because
but again,
content is the king.
But again, don't put yourself in a lot of pressure. सुरुमै चाहिँ यत्रो प्रेसर खतरा गर्न पर्दो रहेछ, भो मैले सक्दिनँ भन्नु पर्दैन. Like first 20 episodes, nobody is listening you.
Yes.
Like straight. So and this is an interesting thing. सुरुको 5-7 वटा एपिसोडमा चाहिँ like your parents, not parents, like your friends are gonna listen to. But त्यस पछाडि you will start building your audience. But उसके बाद त्यस पछाडि चाहिँ like they are never gonna listen to your show. Like the people who supported me in the beginning, which they were very kind. They just wanted to motivate me, support me. तैँले गर्न सक्छस् ल गर भनेर. And then after like 3-4 episodes. Boy, they never turned back, but that's totally fine. So first 20 episode, this is something that I ask people, like just focus on being consistent, and producing episode consistently. After 20 episodes, like you will learn a lot of things, and then you will upgrade your voice quality, audio quality, you will upgrade your content quality, you will get better guests. So put that effort, and there is no alternate to hard work and being consistent. So.
True. I think there would not be a better example than you, man. Like हुन्छ नि, like जियोग्राफीकोलाई छोडिदिउँ होइन, को नेपाली, को इन्डियन, को पाकिस्तानी होइन, एउटा संसारको एउटा कुनामा बसेर इफ यु आर बिङ लिसन बाई 100 and 1000 of people around the globe होइन, बेडरुमबाट द्याट इज समथिङ टु पोन्डर है, त्यो सोच्नुपर्ने कुरा हो.
I have nothing, like let me tell you guys, these guys have invested a lot. एकदम खतरा पैसा खर्च गरेर छ यिनीहरू यो सो गराउनको लागि होइन. लाइक all of this stuff, this mic, cameras, 3 cameras, 1 2 3, right? So they have invested a lot. I have invested nothing, like literally nothing. पुरानो माइक किनेको थिएँ मैले, कति पे गरेर 5000 आइसी भने 8000 रुपियाँमा. द्याट्स अल द्याट आई हेभ इन्भेस्टेड. त्यस पछाडि चाहिँ आई हेभ गट एनदर माइक एन्ड स्टफ. बट द्याट इज समथिङ द्याट आई डिड आफ्टर डुइङ 50 episodes or so. 50 episodeसम्म चाहिँ लाइक 5000 को mic, and you don't even need that. You have your phone. Like आजको phone, they have got like a very good thing. So just don't give excuses. If you really want to do it, then just don't think.
True. खतरा podcast भयो आज होइन. अनि आई थिङ्क अघि विजयले भने जस्तै आई थिङ्क आई एम वान गाई हु इज लर्निङ द मोस्ट इज डेफिनेटली बी. अनि आजको चाहिँ यो फ्री कन्सल्टेसन भयो, सायद बाहिर कफी बोलाएको भए चाहिँ हल्का पैसा पर्थ्यो होला, तर अमेजिङ, एकदमै खतरा लाग्यो. सो हाम्रो चाहिँ एउटा फर्मेट छ जुन चाहिँ मैले सिकेको चाहिँ टिम फेरिसबाट हो. अनि यहाँ चाहिँ फर्मेटमा चाहिँ मैले चाहिँ आई आस्क माई गेस्ट टु राइट समथिङ इन वान बोर्ड होइन. अनि दिस विल बी समथिङ द्याट विल लुक एट इट फर द रेस्ट अफ लाइफ नै भनौँ होइन. सो हियर इज द पेन होइन, एउटा केही एनिथिङ इट कुड बी अबाउट एनिथिङ द्याट इन्सपायर यु, एनिथिङ यु वान्ट पिपल टु नो.
Okay. Which one? This one, right?
दुईटा छ, जुन चुज गर्दा पनि हुन्छ.
Choose this one.
एउटा सिग्नेचर. Yes, as a it's 21st January. Okay, perfect. So don't let your dream die.
Inside of you, make it
Inside.
happen.
Make it happen. The only thing that deserves that basically dies should be your body, not anything else beside your body, and definitely not your
Or
dreams.
your fears.
Or your fears.
Or your fears of judgment.
Yeah.
Your fears and fears of being judged. Fears of taking risk. So I think those are the things that should ideally die. But
Not your dreams.
usually our fears win on the battle of fear versus dreams.
True.
And dream ends up losing most of the time.
Yes.
And there are very few people who make their dreams win, fighting with all the fear, self-doubt, and negative thoughts and criticism that people are saying things about you. So yeah, I mean, I would say don't let your dreams die inside of you. Act on it, make it happen, because there is something within each one of us that gonna add a lot of value to the entire world. Imagine, let's say Pramod Kharel, for example, not singing a song, or let's imagine Messi never playing football. We would have probably never seen the chip shot that he does.
So true.
Imagine, some cricketer, Dhoni, I think, never playing, cricket. Probably we would have never seen that helicopter shot, right? Each one of us have that beautiful thing that we want to bring out to the world.
And
we can bring out to the world. So don't let it die within you.
So
Act
true.
on it, make it happen.
So true. So true, man.
You don't have to follow the path.
Jringo,
Yeah. So yeah, you don't have to follow the path that was
Create your own path.
designed for you. You don't have to live on anyone's
Obligation.
terms. Live your life. Live for you, and follow your dreams. And I'm sure you are gonna make proud, people on your network, and the people who are criticizing you are gonna be your friends, and they are gonna just wanna be friend. It's just a matter of time. Just follow your dreams.
Amazing, man. Khatra. The video podcast is you get to be this informal.
Yeah.
होइन सो बबालाई यार अति दामी लाग्यो होइन अनि आई रियली हेभ टु अप्रिसिएट यु गिभिङ यो टाइम यति लिमिटेड सेड्युलमा आएको छौ तिमी होइन अनि यु आर फ्लाइङ टुमोरो पोखरा देन ब्याक एन्ड फोर्थ थ्याङ्क यू सो मच विजय होइन अनि आई रियली अप्रिसिएट अनि फर एभ्री वान हु इज वाचिङ दिस यदि यहाँसम्म चाहिँ हेरिसक्नु भएको छ भने चाहिँ डेफिनेटली यु आर इन्ट्रेस्टेड इन समथिङ इदर पडकास्टिङ अर डुइङ समथिङ इन लाइफ या यु वान गेट इन्सपायर बाई समन हु इज डुइङ इट होइन अनि डेफिनेटली एउटा कुरा चाहिँ कस्तो दामी लाग्छ भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ एभ्रीबडी हेज देयर अप्स एन्ड डाउन्स नो म्याटर इन विच लेभल दे आर होइन बट देन द होल आइडिया एफ किप डुइङ इट अगेन एन्ड अगेन एभ्री अदर डे इज वाट विल मेक यु अ डुओ यु गट बी अ डुओ
Absolutely.
होइन अनि
Absolutely.
हाम्रो चाहिँ अलमोस्ट अडियन्स चाहिँ 60%
There are enough of thinkers. We need doers. More doers.
यस अनि हाम्रो अडियन्स चाहिँ 18 to 24 को मा बेसी छन् के
Yeah.
अनि आई थिङ्क द्याट इज द राइट एज टु कमिट अन समथिङ होइन देयर इज नो रङ एज जुन बेला पनि गर्दै हुन्छ होइन तर अगेन लाइफको त्यो ब्युटी
You have energy, and you
Exactly.
have that big dreams that you want to keep.
Exactly.
And you have that drive.
So-
So yeah.
अलमोस्ट अब नेपाली नै छन् हाम्रो भ्युवर्स होइन सो आई थिङ्क दिस इज अ राइट टाइम टु डु समथिङ इन नेपाल एनीवेयर अराउन्ड द वर्ल्ड एन्ड आई थिङ्क नेपाल हेज बिन ब्लेम फर सो लङ फर नट ह्याभिङ इनफ अपर्च्युनिटिज एन्ड आई थिङ्क वी सुड फ्लिप द पर्सपेक्टिभ कि इफ वी डु नट ह्याभ अपर्च्युनिटिज यु हेभ द अपर्च्युनिटी टु क्रिएट अपर्च्युनिटिज
Absolutely.
And yes, guys, this is it. Amazing people are doing amazing things. I know I'm gonna coming back with another amazing guest. And not to forget, we have a gift from our sponsor, Seto Canvas. This is basically a t-shirt. And yes,
Thank you.
Bijay, thank you so much.
Thank you
we
so
hope
much.
we'll see this t-shirt on you someday.
Setocanvas.com.
Setocanvas.com. So yeah guys, we're gonna be back again with अर्को खतरा एपिसोड आजको एपिसोड चाहिँ खत्रै भयो होइन अनि आई थिङ्क वी आर अफिसियली एन्डिङ आवर सिजन 3 एउटा खतरा मान्छेको पर्खाइमा थियौँ हामी सिजन 3 एन्ड गर्नको लागि एन्ड वी गोना कम ब्याक अगेन त्यति भन्दै यु गाइज टेक केयर बाई
Thanks, Anup. Thank you so much.
अमेजिङ म्यान
Thanks, man.